Well, hello, my butterfly besties. It's your girl Alicia from I'm Butterfly Services, your easygoing, truth-telling life coach. And today is going to be the final day of breaking mental barrier challenges. I am going to pop on Sunday at 8 for Q&A. So hopefully by then everyone will have had a chance to watch the replays, do their homework, and then we can talk through any questions or thoughts you may have from that. Remember to post your takeaways to let me know what you got from this. You know, what if it was impactful, if it wasn't impactful, why, if it wasn't what you were expecting. Let me know that as well, and what you were hoping to get from this and did get or didn't get. That will help me in doing these in the future, because I don't want to do them if they're not impactful for someone. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, today we're talking about patterns. Patterns. Because before we can break anything, we got to understand what it is we're breaking. We've got to know what thoughts we have going on. We got to know what those emotional triggers are, because those thoughts and those emotions are what guide and direct your behavior. And with these automatic thoughts that we have in our heads, that especially when we're not aware of them, because when we're not aware, we don't know, we can't connect the heart and the mind as well. And then we wonder why we get in these same situations, these patterns, right? And then when you begin to really become aware of the messages, like I say, we always have most people, I'm not going to say everybody, but usually people will say, that's just the way I am. That's just the way I think. That's what my mama did. That's what I do, right? And that is, hey, everybody does what they do, right? Be you. But when we flip that, instead of saying, well, this is what I do, this is who I am, when we begin to flip it and start asking the question, well, why do I do that? Why do I think that? Where does that come from? It begins to open our eyes to see the world differently. Same world, same people, different perspective. Because now it's not about, well, this is just how it is. This is just how I am. Okay. And rightly so. It is how you are. And when we begin to ask these questions and dive deeper into, well, why am I this way? Where does this come from? When I'm trying to give an example. When this happens, when I'm faced with a challenge at work, or when I'm faced with a challenging person at work, why do I respond like X? Why do I think about so-and-so? Because usually the people who challenge us the most in our workplaces and community are the people who remind us most of other people in our families, in our life, in our circle. And it's something about them that we have an emotional response to. It's how they talk, how they sound, whatever it may be. And I think, and it would be interesting to see like a research done on this and how you could research this. But I really think it's more about the energy that someone gives off and the words and the tone that people use. I'm really into that tone because you can say the same thing and change the tone and it changes the whole meaning for someone, right? Um, Even something, and a personal example for me is questions. I hate repeating myself, and I get and I have a tendency, just being honest, to get super annoyed when people ask me 50 million, as I would say, 50 million questions in a conversation. That comes from my relationship with my mother, because she would ask me, may she rest in peace. She would ask me 50 million questions. And my husband is a lot like her. But I had, because he will ask me, and he doesn't, okay, I'm glad this is like a personal channel. And he's not home, so I can say this. But he doesn't ask like regular questions. My husband is a talker, and he is a thinker, and he's a deep thinker. And so when he starts asking questions, it'll be like, it'll out of the blue, it'll be something like, so what's your dream? What and I guess it's just, for me, it's like random and deep, and it's like, dude, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Why are we having this conversation? Or it's 10 o'clock it's 10 o'clock at night. It's time to go night night. Go night night. Don't ask questions. But for me, it goes deeper than that because I don't talk. I'm a great listener. Friends in my inner circle, but friends in my circle know that it takes a lot for me to talk about me. Now, I can talk about you all day. I can help people all day. But when it comes to me, and I'm being very transparent, because I want you all to understand that this process is never something that is over. It just changes and grows, and you get better at it because you get better at understanding yourself. But I had to realize that whole question thing and why it annoys me so much, because it still kind of does, but I had to keep that in check because people are trying to get to know me and to know me on a deeper level. And because I have my own barriers, I have my own walls, it's hard to get through that. Even if I trust, love, and you've been with me forever, it can take a lot. I'm much better now than I was even a few years ago. But it's an ongoing process because I have to be intentional about talking and sharing my heart and my life, right? I had to be intentional. And it's not that I don't trust the people in my life, because I'm very blessed to have amazing people. I have an amazing husband, an amazing BFF, and my BFF and I have known each other since, oh gosh, we're old. I was in eighth grade when we met. She's a couple years older than me. I think she was like ninth or 10th grade. But yeah. And because of our relationship, it was easier when we were younger because she needed someone to listen. She wasn't necessarily a great, She wasn't necessarily a great listener, and I was, but I wasn't necessarily a great talker. And now we've kind of flipped roles because she's grown and I've grown. And so, but we both had to be intentional. My husband is a lot like my mom in that he would ask these questions or question me because he wanted to know more about me. He wanted to connect with me, and my mom would do that. But because of my relationship with my mom, which I did not share what was going on in my heart and in my mind, because I was the youngest, and it felt like I was always shushed. I was always poo-pooed, like you don't know what you're talking about. Or my feelings weren't validated. They weren't acknowledged. So it was, I just stopped talking. I stopped sharing deep stuff. Now, we might talk about fluff, but I wouldn't go deep. I wouldn't share stuff. And my general question, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's good. Short and concise, right? So I had to, as I went through my own journey of breaking these barriers, now, and I still have some of that up. It's simple, but what? It's not easy. But at least I have windows now. Oh, see, now I'm live.
I know you live.
Okay. I'm glad I stopped talking about him right before he got here.
You was talking about me?
No, never that, my love. Okay, sure. Love you. What? Oh, so distracted. Anyway, and so I share that because, like, again, this process is simple, but it's not easy, and it's an ongoing process. Being aware of those barriers make you more intentional on how you respond. And they also help you acknowledge patterns. That was me not talking, my being annoyed with people questioning me, and not liking my answer. Like, that was another thing. Like, people would question me and I would give it an answer, but it wasn't what they wanted, or they wanted more and I wasn't giving them more. And so they would be frustrated with me, and then I'm frustrated with them for asking me questions, right? But that was my pattern of behavior. That was my pattern of communication. That was my pattern of relationships. I was great at giving and listening, but there was this barrier up on how far you could go and how deep you can go. And it takes, and it's still, depending on, I don't say I keep my circle small, but my inner circle is my inner circle. And even my inner circle sometimes will be like, okay. And they've been around for a minute, and so they'll let me say what I need to say. They'll let me give my fluff, and then they'll look at me or come back at me with okay, so what's really going on? You need those kind of people in your life to keep you accountable for your own mess. You know what I'm saying? So, because they help keep you accountable, and that helps keep you intentional about how you respond and what type of relationships you want to have. Because it's hard to ask someone to give to you when you're not giving to them. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to get back on track because I kind of went down a rabbit hole. Hopefully that was helpful for someone. Sometimes I overshare. But I want you to get it, and I want you to know that you're not alone in this, that we all have this stuff. Once we begin to acknowledge it, though, and really look at why we do the things that we do, What is this barrier protecting us from? My barrier was protecting me from feeling invisible or feeling like I was less than. And so in order to do that, I just didn't share. Because I didn't want you to poke holes in what I was saying and make me feel stupid. I wish you guys were here so that you could give me feedback on whether or not that makes sense to you, for you. It was that helpful, because I do overshare. But in that, those were my patterns. What are yours? And that's what you have to look at when you begin to break down these mental barriers. What are these patterns of behavior that you've established over the years? And sometimes they are so ingrained in us that it's just how we are. It's just what we do, right? And then we can see it in our family. There are patterns of behavior. There are patterns in our families that are based on what they do. Alcoholism and abandonment are 2 of the 10 what are they called? ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Those are the 10 big traumas that a kid can experience. 2 of them, alcoholism and abandonment, whether it's through divorce, separation, death, those kind of things. Sorry, I'm getting messages and getting distracted. And I share those 2 because I saw that in my family. I saw alcohol addiction in my family. It wasn't directly in my house, but it was a part of a close family member, and I saw the trickle effects of it in his family. I still can see the patterns of abuse that it's funny. It's like the women in that line became more, I don't know, docile, and there was more abuse done to them as adults. And the men in that line were more alcoholics. Most of them had a battle with alcoholism. So there were some clear patterns going on. And I think when you're living that, it's hard to see those patterns. I could see them early on because I was, 2 steps behind, not 2 steps behind, but I'm looking at it through a window over here and seeing all this stuff happening. And as an adult, and I'm one of the younger in my family, I was the youngest grandchild, so all of my cousins, my first cousins, are much, much older. And so their kids I'm in the middle. So I'm the last, and then they started having kids. And so they're I think the oldest great grand is maybe 2 years younger than me. Does that make sense? So I'm too old, I'm too young to hang with them, and I'm the big cousin for their kids. So I get to see all this stuff unfolding, and I'm ear hustling with my mom, listening to my mother and my grandmother tell stories or say what's happening. So I'm seeing a whole different side of what is happening in my family. And it all comes from that addiction. But it wasn't until I was much older and started asking why. what happened, where I got the other side of the addiction. It wasn't just about that family member drinking, it was about the pain and the feeling of not belonging, not having a say in this world, because this was a black man um, coming back from the army and how he was treated there, and it was all these things, all these life experiences happening to him that as a child I didn't know. All I could see was the alcohol. It's a ripple effect. Patterns of behavior that becomes cycles, family cycles. Some people call them family curses that continue in the family, because that's what you know, that's what you do, you see, and that's what you do until someone does something different. And that's an adverse one. Yours may not be in that whole top 10 list, right? But there's something that happened along the way that gave you a perspective on life, how you view the world, and your role in this world, your mindset. And those automatic messages that exist, once you begin to realize or examine what is this barrier protecting me from? That's a key question, because when you twist it to that, you begin to look for what you're afraid of, what you're trying to avoid. I was trying to avoid feeling like I wasn't enough. Other people have that same message, but their behaviors would be different. My behavior became a pattern of just listening, not speaking, or only speaking when I really, really think I had something to say. Someone else would take that same message that you're not enough and be like, oh, you gon' hear me. You gon' hear me. Some messages are, I'm not, I'm only lovable if I'm accomplishing something. I'm only lovable if I'm accomplishing something. And so that goes into patterns of, what is happening? I'm sorry. That goes into patterns of perfectionism. You work, people will call it a good work ethic, but it's really, you're becoming a workaholic. You're doing and doing and doing and doing and doing because you're trying to prove something to the world. I'm worthy. I'm successful, so you're gonna love me. That comes from something. And when we can begin to touch that, feel that, right? And understand what that is and the emotional connection we have to that, because there's some emotions connected to that feeling of, I have to be perfect. Because when you're not, then you feel unworthy of love. When you're not, you're angry. All these things are connected, and it shows and it comes out in how we behave, in our patterns of behavior, how we treat people, how we allow people to treat us, because we teach people how to treat us. So how we allow people to treat us, what we allow in our circle, what we allow in our space, all of that becomes patterns. And we will repeat the same patterns until we get the lesson, till we start asking deeper questions. Where is this coming from? Why do I think this? What do I really want? What do I really want to believe? Do I believe this because my mom believed this? Because this is what I saw in my family? Do I want something different? Do I want to keep this? Like some stuff you might be like, no, I'm keeping that. And that's your choice. But understanding what it is, how it's connected, and what you do with it is how you begin to break those barriers. And it might not even be breaking the whole thing, like busting down the wall or tearing it all apart. I mean, realistically, some of us just need to put a crack in it. Let's just get to a point where we can just start cracking it a little bit. Because some stuff, honestly, some stuff you'll be able to just like blow right through. Just do a whole section where you just knock that all the way out. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's easy. I can get rid of that. Boom. Poof. We're going to change that tonight. And you start being intentional about how you do that. About making the adjustments here, connecting and checking those emotions here, and changing those behaviors. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. But the decision to do it and the accountability to do it becomes that process. It becomes a part of that process. And you can bust a whole section of the wall out, or just do a window. Just cut I just need to be able to see through it right now. I don't know what's over there. I ain't ready to break it all the way down, but at least and some stuff you're gonna need help. Some stuff by yourself, you'll just be able to put a crack. If that. You might be able to chisel a little bit. Because honestly, some stuff we just need help with. Right? We need accountability partners. We need therapy. We need a coach. We need someone else in our corner to say, one, to give us the support that we need to say that we can do it. Two, guide us in doing it in a healthy way so that we don't spiral. Because everyone's experience is different. And so I want people to be aware that there may be something that you might be opening a can of worms. Something that you've buried deep, don't want to deal with it, haven't dealt with it, not sure how to deal with it. I say those kind of things, that's therapy. Don't be scared of it, because that's the kind that those deep push down because something really traumatic happened situations are the ones that will eat you up from the inside. And they are definitely guiding, directing your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors. And getting into therapy will help you to see that and to begin to figure out how to do something different. There are other things where a coach like myself can help. where maybe you've started to deal with some stuff, started to looking at some stuff, but you still need the right questions, the right push, the right accountability to really unfold this, unpack this, and begin to decide the direction you want to go. Because really, bottom line, it's your call. This is your call. Who do you want to be? And how do you get there? That means addressing the barriers that are protecting you. And what are they protecting you from? And then checking here and here and those behaviors. So I have a few ways if you're interested in working with me. And I will be posting these probably later tonight. I've got to go pick up my son soon. I have a couple of ways that you can work with me. I have a course called Connecting the Dots of Trauma that will be, I'm still trying to decide if I want that to be a self-guided tour or more of a course like this where you'll have the coursework, which is the self-guided piece, but we'll still be able to connect probably weekly. I think I'm going to lean more toward that because I think I'm going to lean more toward that. But I will let you know. Let me know what you think. Like, would you want just, even if you're not, when you hear that, is that something that you think, okay, I just want to do that by myself to kind of process and then I can move to something else? So we have Connecting the Dots of Trauma, Reclaiming Your Mental Space, which is kind of that step up where, okay, well, I've looked at this, now I want to work on one specific goal, and that's where we're reclaiming that mental space. And then I have my 90-day B.L.O.O.M program where you're redefining with my help who you are, who you want to be, and where you want to go. So we're working on becoming a better version, living with intention, operating in your purpose. Like, what does that mean? How do you get there? How do I take it to the next level? Obtaining clarity of direction. Which way do I want to go? What's best for who I am now and who I want to be and who I want to grow to be? And then make stuff happen. What is it that you want to happen in your life right now? Is it, I want better relationships. I want to grow professionally. What does that look like for you? And how do we make it happen? And that is with my B.L.O.O.M 90-day program. And so I will be posting that information for you guys if you are interested in working with me in one of those areas. And I will be back for more. I thought I heard the door opening. Back for more challenges and webinars. Always connect with me. And if you're not already in the Iron Butterfly group, I do go live on Thursdays at 6 in the Iron Butterfly what does I call it? Iron Butterfly Squad. So that's the Bloom with Alicia at 6, where we'll continue growing together. All right, guys. Hopefully, I'm hoping this was helpful for you. Again, I will be back Sunday. I think I said Sunday at 9. We're starting a teen small group Bible study this Sunday. It's going to be our first Sunday. So that's why I pushed it back till 9, because I'm not sure how long. I'm not sure what we're going to do after that. We'll probably sit. Knowing us, we'll all sit and talk about how it went. So thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know if you're watching this replay, #replay. And I will hopefully talk to you guys on Sunday. If you have any questions, any thoughts about any of the videos, post your takeaways. You can inbox me privately for any questions you may have, or thoughts that you may have. I am eager to hear your feedback, so please do that either in the group or inbox me. All right, guys, until next time, fly butterflies.